Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Family review. This is season 1, episode 5. Along Came Polly. I got some thoughts here. My first thought is Sean trying to get this lady pregnant again on purpose so he can actually have a biological child with her? Because why would he not check on his specimen before he decided to start having relations with her? I mean, Tyler did it, so why wouldn't he? My second thought, and I want you all to listen to this review, and please tell me your thoughts down below on this next thing. Do we think that Alicia's father should be allowed to see his grandchildren? Yes or no? Put it down below because I'm torn on this, and I guess we'll talk about it more when I get to it. But yeah, I just I don't know how I quite feel. So Taya comes outside. Wow, why does this thing keep falling? Yo, I don't know what is going on. My cup just wants to take a dive. And that cup spills when it dives. It's not like my other Stanley. Anyway, y'all know I don't edit. So Taya comes outside with Sean as he's playing with the leaf blower. He tells her that they need to be careful because he doesn't know if his vasectomy worked. As a reminder, we were told that both Tyler and Sean got vasectomies done at the suggestion of Taya while she was pregnant because Sean, as he put it, loves baby Q, but baby Q was unexpected. He wants to make sure that they don't have any additional arrivals. That is what his mouth is saying, but your actions to me are showing otherwise. If you're sitting here and you're shooting up the club when you haven't made sure that your shots are blanks first. I hope that YouTube doesn't think that I'm saying something else, but y'all know, y'all get me. We see each other. So, as I said, Tyler got checked, Sean didn't. The plan is for him to look into that. Um Date night. It's time for Alicia and Sean to have their date night. And they need this because, as Alicia puts it throughout this episode, their intimacy has been suffering a lot lately. Tyler and Taya, Tyler and Taya are on kid duty. It is chaotic as usual. One of the kids at one point keeps digging in the trash, but they're going to make sure that they get this done. So Sean and Alicia are going to be going to a paint night. Sean is so uptight that he is nervous about painting. Like literally, it's a sip and paint. And he is making this even tense, talking about how he's sweating and all those other things. I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm not great at painting, but painting does relax me. So I don't think I would be uptight in this moment the way that Sean is. Alicia tells us that Sean is more structured and Tyler is more of the spontaneous one. This is not Sean's stilo, but she is just happy that he is willing to do this for her. So while they're out, we get a clip back at the house. The kids are playing, and baby Q is going from her arms to his. I feel like every time I see this kid, and I get sometimes when he's on that pillow, he's actually being fed, but I feel like somebody is always holding him, which might be one of the reasons why he's still struggling to sleep for more than an hour at night. So Tyler takes a little, dig at Sean and Alicia, saying that he's not sure if they're really having fun. It's not the type of fun that he and Taya had with their Airbnb. Taya says, Sean is probably complaining. And Tyler says, yeah, to Sean, that's fun. I get a dig, meaning like he likes to complain. I get that Alicia and Sean claim that they like picking at each other, but it becomes a little cringy to me at times because it gets a little too personal, like the vanilla comment that we saw at, towards the end of the episode. We'll get to it. But back at the paint and sip, Sean is telling Alicia that Taya was texting him while she was on her date because she was overwhelmed with everything. I do not understand why, and it's not just with them in this poly family because we've seen it as well with like My Five Wives and the Browns. I don't understand why you decide to talk about another woman on your date night with Alicia when you're trying to reconnect with her. Why are you talking about Taya? Make it about you and Alicia, especially because you know that Alicia doesn't want to hear about intimate details with Taya and you all. That this is like the easiest thing to comprehend, yet for whatever reason they seem to struggle with understanding that for her, her boundary is she does not want to hear about those types of things. um it's simple. Don't talk about what you do with Taya, period. It may seem like, oh, she's asking for so much, but she's really not. She just doesn't want to hear about what y'all have going on with Taya. So she tells us that this is just a reminder of the relationship that she doesn't have with Sean. Because here it is, Taya, while she's on her date night, can confide in Sean and text him and tell her how she's feeling, but she cannot do that with Sean, which leads to her comparing things more. But what Alicia isn't realizing is she herself does the same thing, that she confides in Tyler. Now, maybe there are times where Taya confides in Tyler as well, and that's where the disconnect is. But it's not like Taya is the only person who's confiding in her husband. You're mainly confiding in your husband as well. But she is comparing herself to that situation. Sean tells Alicia once again that he thinks it's weird that she doesn't want to hear about, this thing. She isn't secure with her relationship with Sean. So it's not weird. If you're not having a good time, you don't want to hear about someone else who is. So he says that all her boundaries, what they really do is they just make it hard for him to connect with her. There will always, in my opinion, be an issue here. I really felt bad for Alicia a lot of times in this episode because it's clear that she is trying to open up to a man who isn't opening up to her. Yet he has all these expectations when it comes to her in certain dynamics. Example, the one with her father. Yet, what are you doing to make her feel secure? What are you doing to make her feel like she can rely on you? Sean comes off as a jerk to me. You can say, I love you all you want to, but are you really and truly being considerate of her feelings? So Alicia and Sean are sitting on the couch. She says in the beginning, they were hot and they were heavy, but life and kids have changed their level of intimacy. So production asks Alicia, like, how often do you guys have sex? And Sean answers the question and he's like, well, we basically, I'm paraphrasing here, we get it in as much as we can. Like we try to do what we can do when we can do it. And she's looking at him like, why are you lying? What are you talking about? She's looking at him like he is crazy because maybe, I don't know, maybe he's mixing up his ladies. So she's like, no, we don't. We don't have relations as often as we can. He tells her, like, you got to make the move too. And he calls her vanilla and says that they're basic. I said, so she says, I don't like being called that. I don't like being called vanilla. And the fact that I am in a polyamorous situation and I'm basically swinging, there's nothing that's vanilla about that. I got to agree. That's not vanilla to me. Now, maybe once she gets you one on one, she's not exploring the way that maybe Taya does. But that then goes back to the comparison thing. And I think that's unfair. So he says, so would you let me tie you up? And she says, yeah, I would, but you're too lazy. I said, oh, wow. It just, it made me uncomfortable. So we later see Alicia and Tyler. Do I have a picture of the older kids? We see Alicia and Tyler take the, nope, that ain't that. We see Alicia and Tyler take their older children that I'm struggling to find out. They have decided that they deserve to have some one-on-one time. They do not get to be home alone often, or not home alone. They don't get to do things alone often with these kids. And this situation in the past 4 years has been a big change for them as well, because it used to just be the two of them and their two kids. And now they've added additional kids and additional adults to the equation. So they're taking their kids to a carousel ride, and as they get on the carousel, we see like the bar that goes down and an empty space there where a new animal will be going soon. And this makes Alicia think of her mom, because a bunch of her family got together to sponsor Kitty, which is going to be a unicorn, another animal that is put on the carousel ride in memory of her mom. I think that is beautiful. I remember carousels when I was little, and I used to love them. I personally preferred to sit in the car rather than go up and down on the horse, but it was always an enjoyable experience. And the fact that her family got together to do that, and they could come to this ride and see that representation of her mom in a unicorn, I think that that's a beautiful thing. So we find out that Grandma Kitty was Alicia's mom, that the kids never met her, nor did Tyler, because she passed away from cancer when Alicia was only 18 years old. She says her mom was a hippie, and unlike her father, she believes that her mother would be accepting of this experience, that her mother would be happy for her living her truth, and she would love her new family. So Alicia is thinking about her mom, and she's getting emotional because she misses her mom, but she also misses her dad. And I feel like it hits differently when you know that your parent is on this earth and you're missing them versus your parent no longer being here. I've never lost a parent. Um and I don't want to think about it. My heart goes out to her because she's in a really, really tough position, right? So she tells Tyler that she's thinking about calling her dad. She tells us that she and her dad have not been on the best terms in the past few years. Past few years, I'm assuming is 4, because that's how long they have been this quad. We know that it's because of polygamy. He is not welcomed in their household because of his opinions. It has been 4 years, and she wants him to come around, but he hasn't. She's making it sound like he hasn't come around because he doesn't want to come. When listening to them talk later on, I'm gathering that he is not allowed to come, that he is not welcomed in their home. He hates the concept of them. And she does say that like her two oldest children do miss their grandpa, because they love those kids and they were very much involved with those kids. They were very close until this situation happened. As I said, it sounds like the kids were removed. I'm not sure how I feel about this, because part of me feels like the kids have nothing to do with it, but then part of me feels like I could see why they would have a problem with him not accepting all the children, because you may not like what their parents are doing, but don't isolate any kids. So Alicia is worried, like, what if something happens to me? The same thing we've heard about a couple episodes. What if something happens to Tyler? She thinks her father would just up and take these kids. So they're going to be meeting with another attorney later on in the week. Um, she says she's going to talk to the quad about reaching out to her father just to hear what they have to say. So back at the house, baby Q is being held yet again. I don't know if it's because he's not feeling well or just because they always hold him, because I always feel like he's in somebody's arms. Y'all don't mind me. It's just something I don't do, spoiled children. And it might be because with me, with my son, I didn't go through any. My son didn't really like to be held. Hold him to feed him and then put him down, burp him, put him down. He was just, yeah, he was a really, really chill baby. I had it really, really easy. But I've always said, like, I don't do spoiled children. I love kids. I'll, play with you, have a good time with you. But if you're spoiled, you won't be staying over Auntie Tisha's house. Because I'm not going to hold you all day as I do stuff. That's just not conducive to me being productive. Anyways, so Taya is exhausted because she was up most of the night with the coughing baby Q. Sean is trying to act like the coughing is happening because of how she's feeding him, because Sean knows all. She's telling him it has nothing to do with the way I'm feeding him. He's coughing because he has a cold. He then keeps going and saying, well, I don't understand why you can't just try to do it the way that I'm telling you to do it, because it's coming out of her breast and she wants to feed him the way she wants to feed him. So they're going back and forth a little bit. Sean is a know-it-all. It would drive me nuts because he is not always right, but for whatever reason he thinks that he's always right. So Taya claims that she is understanding that Sean is very solution based and that he has a bunch of ideas about how schedules should go and how feeding should go. But at the end of the day, the booby juice is what she has, and she's going to do what works best for her. I'm not mad at it. To each his own. I know when my baby was breastfeeding, I went in between pumping and having him on me. There were nights where his father took over the feedings. Ugh, that's how he got me back, because he took over the feeding. There were nights where his father was taking over the feedings and I would just sleep. And then there were nights where he was on me. I did what worked best for me. I had my plan. Babies are going to have their agenda as well. So sometimes it wasn't every 2 hours. Sometimes it was 1.5. They tell you that your baby isn't supposed to sleep what? On their stomach, have them sleep on their back. My child, if you had him on his back, he would only be asleep for a couple of minutes. So guess what? We put him in the bobby pillow and angled him a little bit for him to get sleep, or perish the thought, we would watch him as he slept on his stomach, because that's what worked best for him. He was balled up in the womb and he liked to ball up and he couldn't do that on his back. You figure out what works best for your child and you adjust accordingly. So Taya is over him and all his opinions, and she ends up leaving. Alicia then uses this time to ask him, have you taken your sample yet? Have you read it? Have you read up on it? And he's like, yeah, but he still hasn't dropped it off. He's answering her in his normal kind of condescending tone, but it hits her differently this time because she feels like he's being short and dismissive. So she goes back in her room and Tyler is in there watching the toddlers. She lets him know that Sean and Taya are bickering and that, as usual, he's taking it out on her. And she starts to cry. Why is it that you can't have this conversation together as adults? Because Tyler basically says there's nothing he could do. Like, he can't say anything because he's like, what can I do? She's like, can you tell him to stop being mean to me? And he says, no, I can't. What? That would be a problem for me. She says that their relationship and their fighting affects her too because he's not nice to her. And that's the issue. Sean will continue to be a jerk and he treats Alicia and some of their kids like crap. I feel like Alicia is going through it and it doesn't seem like Tyler is really kind of helping her navigate through it to me, but she feels like he is because he holds her and comforts her. And I just kept feeling badly for her. I do not think that this family is going to last beyond another 5 years. I do not think that these women are that happy in this situation. I think that Tyler enjoys his wife and his girlfriend, but I don't think that it's working out so much for Sean and Alicia. You can love someone because he has this tendency to say, I love you, but that doesn't mean you want to be with them. There's a reason why y'all aren't having relations, and it's because y'all aren't connecting on a deeper level. The physical is gone. What else do you got? So it's time to go to the lawyer. They meet up with yet another attorney. Her name is Catherine, but this person specializes in adoption, and she is there to talk to them about third party adoption. They give the same spill about their PolyFamily and some of the family not accepting their dynamic. Taya tells us, I don't have a relationship with Alicia's dad. He doesn't accept me. He doesn't accept the kids that I birthed. And I'm afraid that he's going to take his biological grandkids. So Catherine informs them that they can do adoption by adding a second parent um, onto the biological child. No one will lose their rights. Rights are just added. Alicia, Taylor, and Tyler look happy as always. Shine has that same normal face that he has, not him smiling like we see him here in this picture that I got up, but he's just looking like, okay, yeah, great. Tyler says that he just wants to make sure that Sean is protected. I need you to make sure that your kids are protected. I might do and another thing because I want to talk about some of this stuff that's out there about Sean, and it's making me wonder if TLC is going to renew this series because of that. So, he says he wants to make sure that he's protected. Um, so the plan is to pursue this adoption thing and not let up until they have it done. So let's get on this dad conversation, right? I personally do not think that this is a conversation that Alicia needed to have with these other adults. But this is what happens when you decide that these two people who did not come into your life until 4 years ago are allowed to have a say so when it comes to your kids. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. So Alicia talks to the quad about missing her dad. She tells us that she's reached out to him before without talking to the quad and it caught them off guard. In other words, I feel like that's a nice way of her saying that it pissed the quad off. So she mentions reaching out to her dad and trying it out if he's willing to treat all the kids the same. She wants to know when it will be okay to invite him to things. Taya thinks that he needs to give them an apology. She tells us that he does not see all of their kids as his grandkids. Taya tells us that he even went as far as sending a Christmas card when it was just was it the four kids, yeah, and that the kids who came out of Alicia's biological kids all got the signature of pop at the end, or papa at the end of the card, whereas her child just got his name. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not messed up, that he's not isolating the kids or making them feel bad. However, given that you're saying that he's icing out the other children, I'm surprised that he gave all the kids cards in the first place, especially the one that wasn't hers. But I could understand at the same point how that would be a problem. So Taya says it was spiteful and he can feel how he wants to feel, but you're not going to disrespect them as parents. She asks, do you really want someone who's this disrespectful around our kids, Alicia? I don't think that Alicia, given how they feel and how her father feels, is going to be able to have a relationship with him. And that's sad to me. So Alicia tells us this is not going to happen. My dad is not about to apologize to them. It's not going to happen. Sean says the ultimatum came when he said via text message that Tay and I were no longer allowed to family events or vacations out of the blue. I don't think it was out of the blue. Y'all must have did something that caused that, not justifying it, but I'm wondering if y'all were kissing each other or doing something when all the family is around and he got to thinking about it and was like, no. I'm wondering how that came up, because that means at one point you were there and you were allowed. So something's missing there. Tyler says, look, I used to be really, really close to him. I like the guy a lot, but because of how things have transpired and because of how he's not accepting Taya, the other adults and the kids, um, I can't be okay with him treating us this way. So Sean tells her if this wasn't her dad, they wouldn't even be having this conversation. Who are you talking to? This is the stuff that I'm talking about with Sean. It's the way that he says things. So she says, but he is my dad. Sean says, the fact that he's your dad means nothing. Alicia is crying at this point. She's like, he's my last living parent, and I want to have a relationship with him. He's my dad. He's like, it doesn't matter. She says, it should matter. It is a hard position for her to be in. And I don't know if I could cut my parents off for that. If I'm being completely transparent, I don't think I would, but I also wouldn't be in this position either, right? So she's crying in confessional. She says nothing has changed, so she doesn't even know why she's trying. He's not going to apologize when he doesn't think that he's done anything wrong. So forcing an apology on him to say what it is that you want him to say when it's not what he really thinks, it's not going to work. He tells her it's not forcing an apology, it's setting a boundary. Interesting how your boundaries matter, but hers don't. because she keeps telling you about her boundaries and you keep dismissing them, yet she isn't allowed to interact with her father without getting crap from y'all, because y'all can't tell me that they don't give her a hard time when she said that it took the quad off guard when she reached out to her dad. It's her dad. So Sean says, like, look, I'm not changing it. That's the way I feel. And she ends up leaving to kind of get herself together. I feel like these people, these adults in this situation, will never know how much this hurts her. And it's messed up because her kids didn't ask for this either. You all decided to be this quad. And because you all decided to be this quad, these grandbabies have lost out on a relationship with their grandfather. Now, should he have respect for them? Maybe he should. But I'm going to be honest with you, whether they were a quad or not, Taya and Sean would get on my nerves, especially Sean, because Sean has this thing about him that really, really got on my nerves from episode 1 without knowing some of the things that I know now. Right. And I haven't even read everything. I just saw enough to know that there are certain allegations about him, but we'll get to it in another video. I wrote in here, I put that in my notes, that I remember when a male did not talk to me for a year because he was upset with me about some decisions I made. And never, ever did I keep my child from that person. I allowed my child to still interact with them and talk to them and communicate with them because the issue was with me. It wasn't with my child. I don't know what that looks like in this case, though, because the issues that her father has is with these adults and with the children. The children at a different aspect. If her father were more accepting of the children, okay, I figured it out in my mind now. If her father were more accepting of the children, if her father accepts all the children, then I would say allow him in. I don't think he should have to accept Taya and Sean. Those are my thoughts. Tell me yours. So Alicia gets off the couch to gather herself, as I said. Taya feels like Alicia is just letting it go, like she's not holding her dad accountable. And Alicia's like, I am, but what do you want me to do? I'm gonna put up boundaries, especially when it comes to the kids. I'm not saying, I forgive him for everything, but I'm saying I want to have a conversation with him. So she says she doesn't like when people accuse her of not wanting to protect the kids because she cares about these kids just as much as Taya does. They say that she can reach out, but she needs to express certain things to him at first. And they agree that if that conversation goes well, that they'll try. She says, thank you. So let's get to nasty. Taya hasn't even brushed her teeth yet, but she goes out to give Tyler a kiss. It's been a couple hours because we're told that 5 hours ago, you and Sean had relations. So you left out your room and did all these other things and didn't brush your teeth. Maybe that's why they're so yellow. Let me continue. So it just grossed me out. Y'all, I'm judging a little bit here, but, and it's still how I am now. I was always taught that in the morning, when you leave your room, first place you go to is the bathroom. You wash your face and you brush your teeth. You do not go into any kitchen or anywhere else like that until you've done those things. So I saw her kissing him while he's sweeping in the kitchen and I felt like gross. You didn't even brush your teeth. Anyways, just it's always stuck with me to this day. If I don't do anything else when I get up, I'm gonna make sure I brush my teeth. So she goes to her room. Sean is in the bathroom. He's gathering his sample. He's taking a while. Taya goes and lends him a helping hand. He comes out and he begins to read the paperwork that he told Alicia that he already read. Turns out that he didn't read it because if he read it, then he would have saw that he is not supposed to do anything for 3 days. After he's had 3 days of no relations, then he's supposed to put a sample in the cup. So he says, oops, because Tay is calculating that they had sex 5 hours ago this morning. So she rides with him to drop off his sample, and the people still take it even though it's been 3 days. So we see Lex call Taya on FaceTime to let her know that she's coming to Portland. Taya is really giddy about it. Sean sees Taya flirting and it doesn't bother him for now. Taya says she's not sure how she feels. She knows that the quad is closed off. She just knows that she enjoys Lex. So later, Alicia asks if they had fun taking their sample to the laboratory. He tells her, yeah, but I wasn't sure if they were going to take it at first because we had sex this morning. Not because I ejaculated by myself or anything like that. We had sex this morning. This chick has made it clear so many times that she does not want to know the ins and outs of the relationships that these men have with Taya, yet they continue to stomp on her boundaries like her feelings don't matter. Immediately, Alicia leaves the room and Taya mouths to him, to Sean, why would you say that? She then tells him to fix it. Alicia is in the room saying that they are in a great place, that he and Taya were bickering, and now here they are good. They've had stuff while she's still struggling. Sean goes in the room because Taya told him to and asks why she left. You already knew why she left. Why are you asking that? Alicia is over. She tells him, reminding him about their boundaries. She keeps on having her boundaries and they just dismiss it. He claims he didn't do it on purpose, while Alicia is just like, look, you keep doing it and you keep saying you're not doing it on purpose. He apologizes. She says thanks. He walks out. He doesn't really care about hurting her because if he did, he would have remained in there longer and it would have been more sincere. She just feels like she's not enough. She's questioning everything about what she is and who she is in this dynamic. And that's all I got. Y'all let me know what you thought about this episode. If there's something that I left out that you want to talk about, feel free to put it down below. I don't know how in the beginning I said this was going to be more of like me ranting, and it's turned into me doing a lot of recap, but I hope you all are enjoying it nonetheless. Anyways, until next time, say it with me now. Peace.